But it's Murray's time and the sunshine of centre court once again.
He's got it! The Tigers have won by a point!
Hello and welcome to the final score, where if it's happened over the past week in the sporting world, we're going to be talking about it here for upstart.net.au. I'm your host, Val Febo, and with me today is Joel Frucci, one of my co-hosts on Breakpoint Podcast and also editor for Outside 90, one of the best soccer websites in the country and the world. Joel, how you going, mate?
I'm very well, Val. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How's your weekend?
Excellent, mate. Yours?
That's good. Yeah, pretty good. And your sporting highlight of the week, what did you reckon?
Yeah, my sporting highlight of the week was Aussie centre-back Jackson Irvin, record signing for Burton Albion in the English Championship. Back on the score sheet again, twice in 4 games, so a good start for him.
Very good. And
The centre-back.
Centre-back, yep.
That's brilliant stuff.
Yeah, that's very, very good, and hopefully it bolsters the Socceroos stocks over the coming years with the World Cup in a few years' time.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Definitely. And Simon Draycott is here with us today.
G'day, Val.
He is a co-host on Extra Time, also another podcast on upstart.net.au, and also editor for Sports Smash, another online magazine. So Simon, how you doing?
I'm good, mate.
Thanks so much for coming on the show. We're going to be
my
talking
pleasure.
with you about Rugby Union today and the Bledisloe Cup over the weekend. So, yeah, fantastic. Thanks heaps for coming on. It's a real pleasure to have you in. And what was your sporting highlight of the week?
Not much of a highlight, mate. The Demons dropped out of the finals race, which means with me turning 30 next year, I've lived through my 20s without seeing the D's play in one finals match.
Oh, no, that's...
There you go.
Yeah, not the best record for you.
Nope.
Don't worry, I've had that with Richmond as well, so I share your pain. And Rudy Edsel is also here, Triple M writer and Greenfield Post writer. And thank you for being on the show again. Great to see you.
It's my pleasure, Val, every week.
It is. It's always a pleasure, isn't it? How you been?
I've been fantastic.
That's good.
It's been a great weekend.
Has it?
Well, it's been a good weekend. It's been fine.
That's good.
You know,
I'm glad to hear
just
that.
trying to up the energy in the room. Come on.
That's good. I'm glad to hear. And what was your sporting highlight of the week, mate?
For me, it was Mona Hope. She plays for St Kilda Sharks in the VFL Women's League. She became the first person to kick 100 goals in that competition. She went in on 99 on the weekend. She kicked 5.
Good on her.
Got to her 100th in the first quarter. And even more importantly, her team won, and now they sit second, and I believe that there were a chance for a second chance. She's actually going to be playing for Collingwood's AFL side next year.
I thought that was her.
She's the one covered in tats, so they got their marketing absolutely spot on
they
there.
did, didn't they? 100%. Or the female Dane Swan.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And Josh Campbell is also here, another one of my co-hosts on Breakpoint. Josh, how you going, mate?
Not bad, Val. How are you going?
I'm very good. And
That's good.
what was your sporting highlight of the week?
Had to be Mitchell Starc. With his spell in his the first ODI against Sri Lanka, he took his 100th wicket. And in his 52nd match, that breaks the record for fastest ever to get to 100 wickets, breaking the record set by Sakleen Mushtaq about 20 years ago.
Yeah, 17-year world record that was. Yeah. So unbelievable stuff from Mitch Starc, who had a great test series, and now he's following that up in the ODIs. And quickly, my sporting highlight of the week was Khloe Esposito, the women's modern pentathlon gold medalist for Australia in the Olympics. She was 7th going into the final days racing with the cross-country running and the shooting, and got the gold medal. So it was an unbelievable finish from her, and yeah, very, very impressive to win that. First Australian to do so.
We're all massive modern pentathlon fans here now.
Oh, yeah.
in
Yeah,
Australia.
we definitely
And
are.
the women's rugby sevens as well.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Always.
it's a bizarre sport to watch, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
like,
well, it incorporates fencing, shooting, swimming, cross-country running, and there was one more. I can't remember what.
fencing.
Fencing, that's it, yeah.
So it sounds to me like a rich person's holiday in like the late 1900s.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, definitely. But the Olympics closed this morning, closing ceremony. Kim Brennan was Australia's flag bearer, rightly so. I think her story was one of the best for an Australian point of view throughout the Olympics. But the Australian performance over Rio, we've ended up finishing 10th, 8 gold medals, 11 silver, 10 bronze. That marks our worst performance since Barcelona in 1992, where we still finished 10th there, but 7 gold, 9 silver, 11 bronze. So, guys, we'll start with Joel first. Was this Olympics a bit of a letdown?
Well, I think, yeah, in a way it was. But when you look at it collectively and you say, okay, maybe we've put too much on the swimming, maybe, the way I see it. And in that sense, I believe that there was far too much hype, and with it, far too much pressure on the shoulders of our swimmers.
But with hype, we had going into the Olympics, in many, many swimming events, we had at least one person in the best 2 or 3 in the world. And to not even have some of them medal, like that's got to be a bit of a letdown, don't you guys think?
I thought it was a dreadful performance in the pool by our Aussies. That the Campbell sisters are absolute stars. Couldn't medal in a couple of different events, and who else did we have in there? Magnussen.
McAvoy.
Yeah, McAvoy.
Yeah,
as well.
Magnussen was disappointing.
It was great to see. We got a couple of goals that I didn't expect, but it was pretty disappointing, and it sort of was like that across most of the sports. I thought the team sports, aside from the women's rugby sevens,
Yeah, well, the hockey
really
was one of the biggest disappointments, not medaling for the first time in 40 years. So, that was...
I think for me, the biggest disappointment in the pool was when you compared us to the Americans and just how dominant they were when it came to their events.
Katie Ledecky
They
as
won
well.
16 gold medals in the pool alone. We won 3.
Yeah, wasn't like... And we got 2 of them on the first day.
Exactly.
And then for the rest of the week, we had Cole Chalmers win, and that's it. Mitch Larkin, I think, got a silver. They got another bronze or silver in there somewhere. And, just it wasn't the performance that I think we were hoping for. And that brings... And also, Michelle Jenneke. She was the face of Coca-Cola heading into the Olympics. And, big athletes are usually supposed to do that. She ran an Australian time, that was second only to Sally Pearson. I think it was earlier on this year or last year. And to not even get past your heats, that's, it's not good enough.
I'm not sure we should be too harsh on Jenneke. I think
she has been injured as well, but
I think a lot of the expectation on her is possibly a little bit over the top because she's got a profile.
Yeah.
To be honest, I wouldn't be too harsh on Jenneke. And you mentioned Sally Pearson. That's something to remember, is that she's our best athlete, and she couldn't make it because of a hamstring injury. So I wouldn't be too harsh on our track and field athletes.
Yeah. The track and field, they're never, there's never too much expectation on them. But also, even in the velodrome, we usually do quite well there. And
that was quite disappointing, wasn't it?
I think it was only a bronze, and Great Britain got 6 gold.
Yeah, we've been very severely overtaken by Great Britain in that. I'd say that's probably the biggest point of slide for Australia has been the cycling events. We used to dominate them. I remember when I was a kid. You could pretty much guarantee that we'd bring home some cycling gold and swimming. I'm not sure what the issue is. Are we not funding enough? Is there structural issues?
With swimming, I think it's structural because they have the trials 3 months out of the Olympics, and America only has their swimming trials 6 or 7 weeks out. And that's pretty much halving the time. They're still in competition mode. And if Australia has a bit of time, I think I brought this up last week, they've got a bit of time to put their feet up, relax a little bit, and I think you've got to push it a little bit closer to the Olympics.
Pretty much only Chalmers who was at his best, wasn't it? In the swimming, everyone else looked lethargic and was saying,
Mac Horton was pretty good in the 400.
Horton, sorry, of course, But everyone else is more or less saying, we've had such a bad meet, pretty much everyone came away disappointed. You could see the...
Well, McAvoy, Kate and Bronte Campbell.
Yeah, obviously there's something needs to be done at Swimming Australia, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like we're talking a lot about Australia and their negative performances. One of the positives I want to take away from it was that our sailing performance with 1 gold and 3 silver.
Yeah, the sailing we did well last time. I think Tom Slingsby was one of our gold medalists in London, and he wasn't at the Olympics this year, was he? No. I didn't hear his name at all. So, but
to get 4 medals from
Tim,
I think it was like 6 or 7 events we entered in. Yeah, exactly.
Got a gold medal. So that was a really good performance there. And I wasn't expecting really to get a gold from sailing, but it was.
We got 4 medals.
Yeah,
I thought
4
that was
medals.
Fantastic.
Added significantly to the. Rudy's very excited
about a quarter of the entire haul, I guess.
Well, sailors were one of the best performances for us, and how. All right, well, question is, we'll start with you, Simon. How can we improve this for the next Olympics heading into Tokyo 2020?
I think, one thing you spoke about earlier was moving the championships closer to the actual Olympics themselves. I know with the athletes, they qualified throughout the year. So I had one guy, for example, Luke Matthews, who ran in the 800 metres and 1500. He qualified back in March.
Yeah.
And then he's gone to Europe. He's, tried to win races in Europe. And now he's come to Olympics. And he turned up at the heat. He was tired. It's his first Olympics. He's only 21 years old, but he should have done better than that. And I think, we need to maybe move those championships close to the Olympics like the Americans do.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And do you guys, we'll start with you, Josh, as well. Do you concur with that?
I completely concur with that. And I think that's the timing between the swimming trials for both Australia and the Americans showed just how underprepared I think we were for the Olympics. I think it was 3 months between us for the trials and the Olympics, and the Americans was about 6 weeks.
Exactly. And it's definitely not the best performance for Australia, so hopefully we can improve and we go back to 2012, 8th, Beijing in 08, 6th, 04 in Athens, 4th, 2000 Sydney, we were 4th. So hopefully we can get those results back up there because it's great to see the Aussies up the top. But Rio definitely wasn't good for Australia. But was it a good host city? And that's been a question that's been raised since pretty much since before the opening ceremony. And we'll start with you, Rudy. Did you what did you? Here we go. Rudy's excited, but what did you think of Rio?
Pretty much, I'd say overall it was a disaster.
Yeah.
There was. I mean, the pool turned green. What the hell was that about?
They put some chemical in it that cancelled out the chlorine.
Yeah. That's amateur stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you're
It really
hosting
is.
an Olympics.
Yeah.
You think you could get the chemicals in the pool right?
My pool at home was cleaner than the pool at diving.
Exactly. And I mean, there was so little atmosphere at times, unless Brazil were doing well. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I watched the men's volleyball gold medal
Yeah.
match. And
The
was
beach was it the
exciting.
beach volleyball or the?
yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
the beach
How
volleyball.
good was that?
And
It was
indoor
actually
as well.
that
Brilliant.
atmosphere, 12,500 seat stadium.
Yeah, but there was empty seats everywhere you looked.
Yeah,
And
even
they're-
in the athletics.
They're talking about running out of money for the Paralympics as well. It's in real dire straits. I was
Yeah.
reading earlier. We'll probably talk about that, in the lead up to the actual Paralympics.
Yeah.
But I can't really see. There wasn't the atmosphere that there was at London. There wasn't. There wasn't that sort of like sensation of glimpsing something you don't, a culture you don't understand, as in Beijing. I think it was probably the worst Olympics since Athens.
Yeah.
For sure. And I don't think it was a great host city.
Well,
And-
if you want to talk about, I just wanted to bring up really
Yeah, go
quickly
for
the
it.
crowd.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the pole vaulting?
Yeah, booing
Which-
Le Villeneuve.
I thought that was disgusting.
So did I. Well, Le Villeneuve is the world record holder pole vault. 6.16 meters is his world record, and he's going up against a
Yeah.
Brazilian.
Don't take anything away from Thiago da Silva. He
Oh,
won
no,
the
he
gold
was
medal.
big, yeah.
He won it. That's great credit to him. But to see him collect his silver medal and then to get booed by the crowd, I just thought it was putrid.
Yeah, I thought it was bad as well. But then his tweet sort of escalated that, saying he felt like Jesse Owens in the 1936 Olympics. So he inadvertently likened them all to Nazis.
Possibly a little over the top.
Yeah, a little bit. But and aside from all of that, Rio has had to build a lot of new stadiums and facilities to host the Olympics, and along with the World Cup 2 years ago, they had to build new stadiums. But they're allocating too many resources away from the favelas and the poverty that riddles the city.
This is, I mean, that's an Olympics issue though. Every Olympics host city has to do that. They have to build all these stadiums
Yeah.
at their own expense. The IOC take the money and then run. It's I don't really see why a city would bid for the Olympic Games. To be honest, it's
Unless
a
you were
poison.
in complete surplus.
Yeah.
With your
Yeah,
country.
but it's a definition of a poison chalice.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
I think in the last month, Montreal has just broken even from the 1976 games.
Yeah.
Right, Athens is in absolute
Oh,
disarray.
yeah.
The country is still in debt from those games 12 years ago. And it's brought it to its knees.
Does that mean we should only host them in big cities then? Or cities
What's
that
a
can...
bigger city
Well,
than Rio?
Well, no, I mean a city that can actually host
city
it.
with the
with the
infrastructure
facilities
built in, but-
that don't have to... Like, if you sent one to Melbourne, we could host it tomorrow.
No, we
You could-
couldn't.
Or you could pull up the MCG turf, but
I don't think you understand how big an infrastructure undertaking it is to actually host an Olympic Games.
I reckon Melbourne could host it pretty... Or if you sent it... Like, the other host...
we hosted the Commonwealth Games 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the same
Yeah, exactly.
level,
Yeah, but also, the cities that were in running to get this Olympics with Rio were Madrid, Tokyo, and Chicago. We know Tokyo is going to get it next. Chicago could host it, and Madrid could host it. Yeah.
There's
That's all
just
I'm
a lot
saying.
of stuff that you have to a lot of stuff that you don't even think about. Like you need white water for kayaking and that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
You-
But that's, Australia could put that in easy.
yeah, sweet. We'll just take the money
Yeah.
that we spend on, say, health and
Or
education.
then who does it?
What do you mean? Who does it?
Well, who hosts it?
I don't know. Are the Olympics an anachronism? Is it time for the IOC to start spending some money on infrastructure?
Well, I think
They're worth a lot of money.
I think, well, the IOC, that's a really, really good point you raise, Rudy. Like, Joel, do you think that the IOC should spend a little bit more money on helping these host cities actually host the Olympics?
Well, I think if not that, then there should be a bit of an obligation for them to actually put back into the host city.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
maybe the IOC put some money towards those favelas and towards the debt that Brazil's facing at the moment.
Give back to a community that's given
Exactly.
them so
Give back
much.
to the community. Yeah.
They also force these cities to set up like special extrajudicial courts and things like that. They basically
Oh, yeah, like the World Cup court.
Yeah.
yeah, basically exactly.
Yeah.
It's exactly the kind of thing like IOC and FIFA.
What a joke.
The IOC. I don't know if anyone saw the story, but the Russian athlete who had a whistle blew on the state-based doping system.
Yeah.
she's running for her life, and the IOC, the head of the IOC, got asked, what are you going to do to help this woman? And they said, "Oh, not really our problem." That's that's the kind of organisation.
Exactly, and FIFA and the IOC are like each other in so many ways, and it's got to stop.
You just
really
don't notice the IOC because they're relevant for about 2 weeks a year, every 4 years.
But FIFA, they've got competitions running everywhere, and soccer is obviously one of the biggest, or football. Joel probably.
Yeah. But like as John Oliver once said of FIFA, they're like wax, and the host country, the host city is like hair. And when the wax comes off the hair, they're taking all the hair. They're taking all the money. The IOC is a lot like that.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And with that sort of stuff, I think the IOC, Rudy, you make such a good point there. They need to be able to, allow this host city to still prosper after hosting the Olympics. And we talk about Montreal, 1976, was it?
Yep.
That's ridiculous. They've only just broken even, and Athens is still. Look at Greece now. Like, there's no way they can pay off that debt anytime soon.
The only, Val, I was just going to say, the only positive is it's the first time we've seen the Olympics at a South American venue, which is fantastic. But you've got to wonder about Rio now. It's probably going to turn out, we see the derelict venues at Athens. It's probably what's going to happen to Rio, you'd think. Yeah,
100%. And with Rio, hopefully it doesn't happen, but you make a good point. Like, first South American city to host an Olympics, and I think the third or fourth. There hasn't been many in the Southern Hemisphere either. I think it's
it would be the third.
Melbourne,
Sydney,
Melbourne, Sydney, Rio. So it's a fantastic achievement for Rio to host it. But then again, have what will be the aftermath of the Olympics?
I don't think it'll leave a good legacy at all.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see, and hopefully the Paralympics are good as well. But if they're running out of money for it, it's not going to be the best or the big. It's not going to be a small issue for the IOC. So we'll move on though to the AFL, and we'll move on from the Olympics until 4 years' time in Tokyo. So we'll see you soon, Tokyo. But if we're still here in the final score by then, hopefully, never know. But the AFL over the weekend, there was one massive issue, and that was the Eddie Betts saga when Eddie Betts in Adelaide's 15-point win over Port Adelaide kicked the ceiling goal from the pocket. It wasn't his pocket at Adelaide Oval, but it was still magical nonetheless.
I think they're all his pockets, the Adelaide Oval.
Yeah. I think any pocket in Australia is his pocket. He can kick him from anywhere. He's a freak. But he kicked the sealer, and a woman, he goes up to the crowd, does a little celebration, and a woman of 27 years old throws a banana at him. It's just childish. And there was I think there was a 10-year-old boy, I think, sticking his fingers up at him as well. So,
yeah, I saw that picture.
Yeah, it just wasn't a good image for the game, was it? And I think the footage that came out of the lady throwing the banana at Eddie Betts, she had it right at his head too. And Josh Jenkins, I think, saw it and got in the way a little bit. But seriously, guys, we're in this modern day and age. It's growing old now. You don't need to throw a banana at a player. Seriously, Simon, what did you think about the whole issue?
Yeah, I mean, seeing a projectile thrown at any player in any sport's not great. And, we're so lucky in Australia that we've got this freedom where we don't have to have big cages to surround players or anything like that. But just hope we don't see an incident like that again.
Yeah, well, is it racism?
Yes, it is clearly racism.
Yeah, because
100 million % racism.
Because this isn't like a 9-year-old kid throwing a banana, not understanding what he's doing.
Yeah,
it's not even that. It's right. It's a pretty clear implication of throwing a banana at an Aboriginal person.
Yeah,
it
no
can't be
dancing around.
Because I think there was the excuse that they were making that saying that she did, well, if she had had another fruit, she would have thrown that. But you threw a banana at an Aboriginal.
She had a banana. She threw it at an Aboriginal person.
And I've heard that she was saying
clear. Yeah. Then there's eyewitness reports saying he deserves it, whatever. She called him a monkey, and then it's reminding me a lot of the Adam Goods stuff last year. But the main difference is Port Adelaide have come out straight away and said we're banning this individual. Initially, they said they're just going to ban her, I think, for the rest of the season, and then said when they conducted their investigation, are satisfied that it's racism, and they're banning her indefinitely. That's the main difference. No one claimed racism last year with Adam Goods. Yeah. Immediately Port have come out and said it. Yeah. And that's, I think, is to their credit.
Yeah. Well, this is what David Koch, the Port Adelaide president, had to say about the issue at a press conference the other day, and after the issue, and he spoke about the suspension a little bit.
If she deliberately did it, and the motivation was more than just throwing an object onto the field. And if the motivation was racially motivated, then our actions will be incredibly severe.
So with this, does the motivation itself and the act make it racist, or the motivation to do it actually is even worse? I think.
What do you mean?
I think the motivation that she had to actually throw the banana, it puts a bad light on the game, I think, doesn't it? Or the fans.
It certainly puts a bad light on Port fans.
Yeah.
Imagine if you go to Port, watch Port every week, and then someone does that, so openly in front of It's a horrible look for Port fans. It's a horrible look for footy.
Yeah, and one of my good friends is a Port fan, and he was shocked by the whole thing. So, not good at all. And also, to throw, I just don't get it. To throw a banana.
To throw any projectile at a player, to boil it down to its sort of basic
reminds me of
situation.
Dani Alves, the Barcelona player, a few years ago when someone threw a banana at him taking a corner and he got up and just ate it and then took the corner.
Yeah, I remember, might remember this, Joel, when I think, I can't remember who it was, but he moved from Barcelona to Madrid and he had a pig's head thrown at him on the pitch.
Oh, it might have been Luis Figo.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Wow. That is, that's a bit gruesome. But she I think Port Adelaide said also that if they can determine that it was racism, they'll ban her for life.
They have
determined
it indefinitely.
Yeah.
They've stopped short of saying life, but indefinitely.
Yeah, and also, this morning on 5AA, a man named Dom, claiming to be this woman's dad, rang up the radio station, and here's what he had to say about the whole issue.
What irritates me probably the most is that we're playing the racist card here.
What do you mean by that? She threw a banana at an Aboriginal man.
No, it was more an act of frustration.
It's frustration, but you threw a banana at the Aboriginal man, and also this is what Will, the guy that took the footage, he rang up Triple M, and they spoke to him about the whole issue as well, and here's what he had to say.
There's only a small group, probably about 4 or 5 people in this little area that were particularly racist, but the rest
saying things
really
like
fine.
what, Will?
I just a swearing. I don't think I can say it on here.
It's absolutely ridiculous, and hopefully we don't see it again this season, and hopefully we don't see it again ever. So, I don't know.
I think it's very clear that it was deliberate. There should be
100%.
She'll be banned for life.
100% it was deliberate.
Yeah, I think the fact that it was a banana and that's not without precedent suggests that it probably was premeditated.
Yeah.
It can't be a coincidence.
100%. And we'll move on to the other AFL news. That was definitely the big issue of the week and definitely the low light of the week. But also, Melbourne's season is over. They losing to Carlton by 20 points. They were heavy favourites to win that game. And Simon, I know you'd be pretty upset with that one. But, I think it's probably better for Melbourne maybe not to make the finals this year because then there'd be more expectations next year. But, to go out with the footy that they played yesterday, they were just, they couldn't kick straight and they just weren't hard enough at the ball, were they?
No, they weren't. Look, they're a very young team still. I think finals will come for them, but it's not for them now. I don't think every Melbourne fan can hang their hat on yesterday and go, we missed the finals chance yesterday. We lost to Essendon, we've lost to St Kilda twice, we've lost to Port Adelaide, all when we were favourites. So that was our opportunity. If we won them, we're in the 8 easily. So nothing to worry about.
Consistency is going to be your biggest thing.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Stringing wins together.
And here's what here's what Jack Viney had to say after the game.
Fresh off a good month of football, we were looking to have a good game today, but unfortunately we got off to a really, really poor start. Skill execution killed us and missed opportunities.
So yeah, definitely not good for Melbourne there. But really quickly before we move on, West Coast beating Hawthorn on Friday night. Rudy, Hawthorn first down to fourth, possibly an away final against Sydney or Adelaide. Wow, that just went pear-shaped.
Yeah, it did. And to be honest, I think this is sort of more where Hawthorn's at than top of the ladder. I've been saying all season that they're
close games.
Yeah, they win close games. Their percentage sort of belies where they're at. It's an interesting one. It's opened up top spot. You'd say Sydney surely
Yep.
is most
Well, Adelaide
likely.
won't belt West Coast. I think Sydney will probably belt Richmond.
Yes,
Geelong.
I wouldn't necessarily
100
say that. Richmond have a pretty decent record against
They do
the
play
Swans.
well against Sydney, but I think at the moment Richmond.
If a
after the way
Sam
they
Lloyd
played on
goal
the
after the siren
Again.
can net the Cats' top spot, I'd be happy, man.
Hopefully that happens again. I'll be happy. But I think Crows as well beating West Coast. I think
it seems
they're
most
the next
likely to be
challenge.
Sydney, Adelaide, Geelong, and then probably Hawthorn.
Yep,
as the
definitely.
top four.
I agree 100%. But that's it for the AFL this weekend, and we'll get back to that after round 23 before the bye week, which we can talk about if that's unnecessary or not. But the Rugby Union was on Saturday night, the Bledisloe Cup, first match of 2016, where New Zealand knocked off Australia 42-8 at ANZ Stadium. It was an absolute belting, and Australia haven't won the Bledisloe Cup since 2002. It doesn't look like it's going to happen this year. Simon, you're our Rugby Union expert. Why was the loss so bad?
Well, it was just such a bad performance from the Wallabies. That is probably the worst first half I've seen from an Australian team ever. The defence was appalling. They allowed the All Blacks just so much time and space on the ball and didn't move up off the defensive line, and the All Blacks just let them play. They ran around them. It was really ugly first half in particular.
And so did it look like they weren't trying, or they just didn't have the energy?
Yeah, the energy definitely was lacking, but I mean, you can say the All Blacks were good, but the Wallabies certainly helped them out. It was a really poor performance.
Well, got to give a bit of credit to Izzy Folau, though. I thought he was clearly the Wallabies' best player on an otherwise dreadful performance.
Yeah, Folau, I mean, he didn't see a lot of the ball.
No, but what he did, he was quite good with.
David Pocock was certainly probably the Wallabies' best over the ball. He snaffled, I think, 6 or 7 turnovers, which thwarted the All Blacks at times, but definitely not enough to really make a difference.
42-8, definitely not enough. But
yes.
So, as we said, Folau, Pocock, probably the only shining lights for the Aussies in some way. But who started for the All Blacks? With no Richie McCaw now.
Who didn't? Beauden Barrett, their new number 10, he's, I think, the best player in the world at the moment. He's a superstar. He's just such a good decision maker. He doesn't put a foot wrong, and
he's lightning quick as well.
He's lightning quick. He scored the second try just using his pace to get through a gap. As sport fans, I think we all love seeing sportsmen at the top of their game. This bloke is at the top of his game right now.
Yeah, and it is good to see.
And he's helped out by a really strong forward pack. So, yeah, they're too dominant, New Zealand.
Yep, 100% agree. But
the new skipper, Kieran Reid, was quite impressive as well.
Yeah, I mean, Reid's been a fantastic player for the last 5+ years. I think he's won International Player of the Year a couple of times. And he's been captain in waiting for a while. So,
and who better to learn off than Richie McCaw as well, who's one of the legends of rugby union and one of the greatest ever. And I think if you put a team of rugby union, like the best ever rugby union players, he would sit in that team 100%.
Comfortably.
Yep. And also, you think it's been 14 years now since we've won a Bledisloe Cup. Why can't we beat New Zealand? Because we beat them for the first time in a long time last year, but it's surely there'd be more hunger, more determination, more motivation every time, but it just doesn't seem to happen.
Yeah, well, every year this time, leading to the first match, there's always, this is Australia's year, we can do it. And then first game, they come out and get absolutely pantsed. The All Blacks, I'm going to put out there, they're the best sporting team in the world. They just get it done time and time again.
Best sporting team in the world.
In the world.
Better than Hawthorn?
Yes. No, they definitely would be.
Yeah, look, since the 2011 World Cup, which they won on home soil, they've lost something like 2 games or 3 games and won 45 or something. Like, they are just the best sporting team.
Well, when they head over to Europe for the spring tour, they never get challenged over there. I think there might have been one against England or France or something like that. South Africa's challenged them a bit. We have a little bit, but they just get the job done, as you said. And I think for Australia now in the Rugby Championship, the Pumas and the Springboks played over the weekend as well. It was close, but they both allegedly looked better than the Australians. And from what I've seen, from what I've read, that they didn't convert as much as the All Blacks would, but that's a big danger for the Aussies.
Yeah, it is. And especially going away, Australia doesn't have a great record in South Africa. The Pumas over in Argentina will definitely push them.
Yep.
They played a really good game on the weekend against the Springboks. Just got done, I think it was 23-all heading the last minute or so.
Yeah,
and then
30,
the Springboks, scored the winning try.
But yeah, it will definitely be interesting going forward to the end of the season. But we'll move on to the end of the Rugby Championship for the Wallabies. Hopefully they can get themselves back up on top, or at least second behind New Zealand. But the Premier League over the weekend, it was a pretty big week for results. A lot of upsets, and Liverpool losing to Burnley was probably the number one. Losing after beating Arsenal 4-3 in the first week, to lose to Burnley 2-0 and going down in the first 2 minutes. Not a good result, and to have 80% of possession, was it, Josh?
Yeah, 80% of possession. More importantly, Burnley had 3 shots, 2 of them on target, both resulting in goals. Liverpool had 26 shots for their goals.
That is ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think Liverpool were quite poor despite dominating possession, but I don't think enough credit has been given to Burnley in the way Sean Dyche set up the team. He was very pragmatic about how they played. He was happy to let Liverpool play, and he knew they would dominate, so he just allowed them to have the ball. Yeah. And, set his team up for the counter-attack. That's exactly what they did. Scored 2 goals on the counter.
Definitely. And here's what Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool manager, had to say after the match.
We had the decision-making. We passed the ball. We lost the ball in wrong moments, in open moments. We counter-attack, counter-pressing, I'm not sure where. Around the first goal, counter-attack, around the second goal, 2-0. But even in the halftime, I had the feeling there's a lot in this game still for us. Yeah,
the Klopp definitely not the most impressed after that match, but I think Liverpool, they've got a lot to work on. They've gone win-loss in their pre-season and season. So,
let's face it, it's Zlatan's league and everyone else is just allowed to play in it.
It is. And Zlatan and Pogba played together for the first time for Man United the other night, and they beat Southampton 2-0 with Zlatan scoring both goals. And quick Zlatan fact, did you know when Zlatan's parents were scared, they went to his bed?
Oh God!
These are my favourite. I've followed every single Twitter account. The Zlatan facts are the best. But yeah, he's a marvel, and he's won the league on his debut season, I think, with every team that he's played for, and I think he's won 9 league championships in a row.
He's 9 out of the last 10, I think it is.
Yeah, something crazy like that. Everywhere he goes, his team wins, and Man United have started this season brilliantly. They're on top with their rivals, Man City, and
he's just such an incredible athlete. Isn't he 33 or 34?
Yeah.
He's still at the top of his game.
Yeah, he has not dipped at all. He's not dipped, and his striking is as powerful as ever. And I think Man United have done very well in landing him and Mourinho. And I think if you're a Man United fan, you'd be very, very pleased at the moment.
You're excited, that's for sure.
Yep, definitely. And
yeah, we're about to remember just how many bloody Man United fans there are.
Yeah, I agree.
All the City fans going back on the red.
Yeah, and quickly, Leicester and Arsenal both having poor starts to the season. Simon, you're on the Extra Time podcast, and what did you think of this match going into it? Did you think it was going to be a classic, or were you expecting a 0-0 draw?
I wasn't expecting a draw. Obviously, both teams coming off opening day losses, they really had to make a statement. Nothing coming of it. I think there are big questions over Arsenal in particular. They have to do something this year. They can't finish just 2nd or 3rd or 4th again. They've got to get up there and challenge for the title. So I think they need to start making some signings.
Last year was their year. They've missed out massively last season. To have the traditional powerhouses in the league, United, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, all sort of struggling. And for them to finish 10 points adrift of Leicester last year, I think...
and only just beat Tottenham.
Yeah, and I think that should have sent the alarm klaxons ringing, really. Yeah. And I mean, Leicester, I don't think anyone expected them to sustain that level of form this season.
Yeah, well, it was an interesting weekend in the Premier League, but unfortunately we're out of time today for the final score. So... Simon, Rudy, Josh. I always go to the wrong names. It's something that plagues me. But Josh, Rudy, Simon, Joel, thanks again for coming on the show today. It's been awesome having you. Simon, again, thank you for joining us for our Rugby Union conversation. And we'll definitely have you back next time we talk Union. Thank you. And that's about everything for the final score today. I'm your host, Val Ferber. Hope everybody has a lovely day and a lovely week. Tune in next week, 1 p.m.
Murray's time in the sunshine of centre court once again.
He's got it!